Hello and welcome to Snetterton for the third event of the season for the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup. The standings could scarcely be closer as the BMWs descend on Norfolk, with just 3 points separating the first four drivers. Last year's champion Steve Roberts heads the field by just 1 point over David Drinkwater, with Stuart Voice and Alex Dew a further 3 points back, all four having won this season. The wide open spaces of Snetterton's 300 circuit allow all of the drivers to compete against each other for the first time this season, with 42 of them set to take the start. Before racing got underway, I spoke to one of the championship rookies. So Jonathan, this is only your third race meeting in the Compact Cup. Tell us about your racing background and how you got into the championship.
Well, I've come from karting and it's always been competitive. I won Super 1 in 2012 in Formula KGP. And we were looking for a championship that's as competitive as karts, and we were walking around Snetterton and came to this meeting last year and just chose that's what we want to do. So we built the car over winter, got it ready, and obviously raced from there.
So you've had two race meetings so far this season. How have they gone, and has how competitive it's been surprised you?
Well, I didn't expect to be right at the front. We were in the middle at Donington, so we had 2/13ths in our races. And then at Brands Hatch we made a slight improvement and we finished 10th in the first race and 9th in the second race. So really positive.
And what are you hoping to get out of Snetterton this weekend? And is it just another sort of steady improvement on that?
Yeah, we were hoping for another couple of places gained. We've had a difficult qualifying session, so I'm starting 21st on the grid. So I'm going to be pushing hard to come through the pack and hopefully get another couple of top 10s.
Well, Stratton, the first thing that strikes me about this car is the very interesting livery it's got. Tell us about the livery and why you've chosen to do that.
Well, basically I've got two daughters, they're 5 and 6, they love cars, and you know, most importantly, motorsport should be a bit of fun as well as, you know, very competitive, and what better than to take the opportunity to make it Lightning McKay instead of Lightning McQueen. It's how, you know, we enjoy our motorsport and I think how it should be, really.
We've already seen just now it's caught the attention of a few kids in the paddock as well, which is great to see. Yeah,
no, it's fantastic. The more you can sort of encourage the youngsters just to go past and catch their eye. I know it happens with my children when they come. It also lends itself to us doing a couple of charity events during the year on static display, and it just helps promote us and promote the championship, really.
As well as being an unusual livery, we can't quite see behind the eyes, but this is a left tucker, isn't it? And it's the first in the Compact Cup. Tell us about that.
It was another plan just to try and do something a little tiny bit different. We always have. And myself and Virgo Motorsport, who always engineer my cars, come up with this devilish plan of bringing the first left-hand drive to the country. It's been very, very difficult, but it works. It really does. It's a fantastic car. I'm so thrilled to actually come out. We've had 1 day of testing. I put it on P10 today. You can't argue with that.
Stuart Voice lines up on pole position, the first of 42 cars on this packed Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup grid. Next to him is the championship leader, Steve Roberts. These two drivers shared the victories here at the equivalent meeting 12 months ago. On to the second row of the grid, and it's the red number 77 car of David Drinkwater, a double winner at Donington Park, looking to return to the top step of the podium here. And alongside him is Simon Roach, who made his podium debut in the last meeting at Brands Hatch. So the red lights are turned on ahead of 13 minutes plus 1 lap of racing that gets underway now. It looks like a pretty even start from the two drivers on the front row of the grid, but are all 40 plus cars going to get through Rich's corner safely on this, the first lap of the race? Down towards Rich's they go then. Someone getting squeezed into the pit lane exit a bit there. It's Steve Roberts in the white number 56 car that has the lead of the race then. 1 or 2 cars running wide, no surprise really, given the sheer number of them taking part here at Snetterton this weekend. And up at Montreal for the first time, it's Roberts in the lead. It looks like in second place it's Stuart Voice. Drinkwater is third. Dan Kirby has got away quite nicely. He's up into 4th position. He started 6th. And they head down to the left-hander at Palmer for the first time. The cars further back still making their way out of Montreal hairpin. We go on board with number 84, Scott Lawson, who started back on the 20th row of the grid. So he's got some work to do if he's going to make his way into a competitive position in this one. Through the left-hander at Palmer he goes. There's someone there has gone wide on the right-hand side of the circuit. Is that James Winstanley possibly? Yes, I think it is. Down towards Agostini, the left-hand hairpin at the end of the straight. Meanwhile, the leaders already turning their way through the left-hand flick at Hamilton. And a spin for Dan Kirby. Well, that good start has been wasted, I'm afraid. He was up into 4th place and he's let it go as they headed down towards Oggies. And he's vacated 4th position for the moment, which has promoted Mike Tovey, I think that is, into 4th position. As there we see Stratton Mackay in the red number 18 car. He was going well. There is the number 5 car of Kevin Denwood, just ahead of 16. Eric Zaleski, the man who lies in 7th place in the championship coming into this weekend. So the leaders at Brundle and Nelson for the first time. A bit of cement dust that's been used to dress some oil from a previous race there. And Alex Dew is there in the number 3 car, the man third in the championship last season, just behind the red number 18 car of Stratton Mackay, and he has qualified a bit further back than he would have liked on the outside of row 4 of the grid, as going wide again. There goes Kirby, I think that is, once more, and he has more problems as the field make their way through Coram then for the first time. There's Owen Hunter. Looks like he has made quite a good start in the number 47 car, but he's just been bundled back a position once again by the number 19 car, which is that of Michael Gray, the Scottish driver that started his career in Formula Ford 1600 racing, and it's side by side for the lead of the race down at Riches, but Roberts for the moment holds on. It was 2 nip and tuck battles between these two that we had here at Snetterton last year, and it looks like we're in for more of the same this weekend, with Roberts leading the championship by just 1 point coming into this weekend. But last year Roberts came on strong as the season progressed. We're on board then with David Drinkwater in the red car. He's in 3rd position. You can see the 2 leaders up ahead, and he's got that helpful graphic on his onboard camera that tells us that he's just come out of Palmer and is on the straight towards the left-handed hairpin that Agostini is approaching 90 miles an hour, approaching 100 miles an hour before he arrives at the braking point. And then he slows down to about 40-45 miles an hour, something like that, to negotiate the left-hander that takes them onto this straight towards the left-hander at Hamilton. And so this field of 42 cars has spread itself out a little bit. Here's the battle going on a bit further back. That's Alex Dew in the LED Lenser car, the driver from Oxford, losing out there to Stratton Mackay. Mackay, who had a podium in his one of his few appearances last season. That was at Brands Hatch. Good to see him back out again for this season, albeit a little bit late in the day for the reasons that he was explaining before the start of the race. And it just looks like he's going to have a good fight there with Alex Dew, a man who has been on the podium on 4 out of 4 occasions so far this season. He's going to have work to do to keep up that record, as Voice now goes to the outside of Roberts at the end of the Bentley straight. Still the 56 car holds on for the reigning champion ahead of last year's championship runner-up Stuart Voice. They're both just getting away from David Drinkwater in 3rd position as they turn through the bomb hole now and down towards Coram Curve, this long right-hander towards the end of the lap. And that's a very difficult corner to get right, because you have to be turning and braking at the same time. As Alex Dew there, you can see just turning right, gets back alongside Stratton Mackay again, trying to get that position back. These two battling towards the back end of the top 10, and Dew has done it then, through into Coram. And look at this, Michael Gray now trying to throw a move on the inside of Stratton Mackay as well. The two of them are alongside, and a good run out of Murray's there for Owen Hunter in the number 47 car. He started well back on the grid, but he's got a good run there out of the corner. He was on row 8 of the grid. He's already made up several places. He's going to make up 1 or 2 more by the looks of it as he heads down towards Riches. So it's Dew, and then Hunter turns in next. He's displaced Stratton Mackay and Michael Gray there. And all of a sudden Stratton Mackay has lost quite a bit of ground, and he runs wide. Feroz Dava in the police liveried car runs wide as well as Dew turns his way now. Oh, and there's contact there, and that's Hunter, and it's Michael Gray as well. And Hunter with significant damage to the driver's door. Gray possibly a little bit too late on the brakes there, possibly locked up. We didn't quite see that incident start, but heavy contact there, and it looks as if Owen Hunter, in that car that's a new one for him, is out of the race. So the rest of the fields continue on. They're heading into Brundle and Nelson. There you can see Simon Roach, who's dropped back down the order, number 65. He didn't get the best of starts. There is Stratton Mackay. Daniel Kirby making his way through, and that's Kevin Denwood now doing battle with Ross Darver. There's a little bit of contact, and spinning around goes the number 5 car. Off the road as well goes for Ross Darver. Also, it looks like they'll both be able to rejoin behind Declan McDonald, but they've lost several places. Jonathan Davison, the number 27 car, I can see just going through shot as well, and Darver's going to get on track just ahead of him. Well, it's the third event of the season for the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup, and it's Steve Roberts that leads the way. He's won on 2 occasions this season, both of them at Brands Hatch, but Stuart Voice is having a look up the inside here at Montreal, the right-hand hairpin, the second corner of the lap on the Snetterton 300 circuit. And Roberts holds on for the moment, but Voice is putting a lot of pressure on here. Roberts will have to pay close attention, work very hard not to make a mistake. And look here, David Drinkwater, I think, has possibly closed the gap a little bit to the 2 cars ahead of him now, making their way past the Tyrrell's restaurant down towards the left-hander Agostini, the hairpin. You'll see how Drinkwater can close up under braking. Now Voice tries to get the cut back here on Roberts, but has to tuck back in behind him there. But certainly Drinkwater now has closed in another few car lengths on these 2, so very soon I think it's going to be 3 cars for the lead of the race. Through Hamilton's now towards the right-hander at Oggies, and under braking Drinkwater closes right up on them. Voice though seems to get a good run out of that corner. Now they'll head up to Williams. This is the right-hander that brings them onto the Bentley Straight, so it's a pretty crucial corner, this one, because the speed that you carry down the Bentley Straight is all important. It's still one of the longest straights in motor racing in this country, and Voice here has got a good exit out of that corner and is drawing alongside. He's not particularly used the toe there, but he's now got the nose of his car ahead of the bonnet of Steve Roberts, and can he get fully ahead before they turn into the S's? Yes, he can. So Brundle, number 21, Stuart Voice, the man from Essex, takes the lead of the race from Steve Roberts, who's based in Huntingdon these days, only about an hour down the road from here. And Drinkwater there in 3rd position, now starting to look very menacing as Voice's car a bit unsettled through the bomb hole, but he continues to lead. Roberts saw that, possibly gives him the sniff of an opportunity. As we look back now to the number 71 car, which is Adam Reed. He's much further back down the order, and he's drawing alongside here the number 55 car, which is Pavel Blatchett. You can see the novice cross on the back of his car, and these 2 side by side then as they head down the Bentley Straight. They both started a little bit further back down the order. Reed starting on the 16th row of the grid. I thought he'd made a place up there, but no, Blatchett can turn ahead of him into the left-hander at Brundle. Blatchett started on the 19th row of the grid, so he's made a little bit of progress. As we look towards the leaders, and David Drinkwater desperately trying to unseat Steve Roberts from 2nd place. You can see that Stuart Voice has just got 1 or 2 car lengths now in hand over the rest of them, so is Roberts now turning towards defence rather than attack, I wonder, because Voice it is that holds the lap record here at Snetterton. He set that last season a 2:24.01. The times in qualifying were much better than that. Voice himself did a 2:21.84. We'll see if he can better it during the course of the race. James Cook in the number 20 car, the first of those 2 red cars, just making his way through as Drinkwater now gets alongside Steve Roberts for 2nd place, coming out of Agostini and down towards the left-hander at Hamilton. They're overlapping, but the nose ahead for Roberts. Is that going to work? The next corner is a right-hander, so yes, Roberts prevails for the moment. Braking now down to 50 miles an hour for the right-hander at Oggies. Then the short straight before the right-hand curve, Williams, that takes them onto the Bentley Straight. This 3-mile Snetterton 300 layout has a lot of different types of corner. As further back we see more cars heading down to Hamilton, someone getting rather out of shape there all over the grass. I think they'll be able to rejoin as we go on board with Scott Lawson, who started way back on the 20th row, of course. Is he making any progress? Well, he's trying to make up 1 or 2 places here. Looks like the number 95 car of Dean Blackburn is someone who he has got in his sights. Blackburn also started on row 20 of the grid. So these drives towards the back of the field, having their own private scrap, and very entertaining it is too. And it looks like Scott Lawson's having some difficulty trying to find a way past there. Blackburn, who gets sideways and spins. Lawson avoids that and can go through. Blackburn forces one or two cars to take avoiding action and restarts, but he's lost quite a few positions now. Over the line goes Stuart Voice, and you can see the lead that he's pulled out over Steve Roberts. And look there, the fourth place man has started to come into play as well. That's Mike Tovey. So Roberts in second position now, turning his way up towards the right-hand hairpin at Montreal. As we look back there, we can see the number 27 Jonathan Davis car, who runs wide over the grass there. He rejoins the circuit, and can Firoz Dava use that as an opportunity to get back ahead of Jonathan? The answer is yes. So Firoz Dava in the number 14 car, the driver from Bournemouth, getting ahead of the Lincolnshire driver Davis now. Through Nelson, this battle for second place rages on. They've let Stuart Voice escape though. Still Drinkwater though, the man who so far this season has been on the podium in 3 of the 4 races he's contested. Bit unsettled there through the bomb hole. Like Tovey there, the Bristolian in 4th position as well. And look, that has cost Drinkwater a few car lengths, hasn't it? Now this is what I mean by quite a difficult corner. Corner into Murray's, because you're turning, you're braking at the same time. You want to turn left, and if you add that changing down and maybe having to overtake someone else into the mix, it's a real challenge for the drivers. Last lap board goes out then. There's also a driving standards flag out, that black and white diagonal flag there. That's for someone who's had a misdemeanor. Oh, and there's another driver having a misdemeanor. That is Jonathan Davis, I'm afraid to say. Now, looks like some damage to the front of his car, and possibly Jonathan Davis there going into retirement. We've already lost Michael Gray and Owen Hunter, of course, and Kevin Denwood as well. As we look back to this battle, which includes Daniel Kirby and Stratton Mackay, and also in the midst of that is the 66 car of Bryce Greenwood as well. Josh Harvey, that looks like, is also involved. So they make their way down to the left-hander at Palmer. So this is towards the bottom end of the top 10. Now what on earth has happened to James Cook? I think that smoke we could see, that is probably going to be from the flapping bodywork fouling a tyre, or is it a mechanical issue that he's got? Either way, I can't imagine it's going to get much further than this. There's the number 33 car, chased by James Winstanley, goes under braking for Montreal with the smoking James Cook behind. 33, by the way, is Clive Brookson. 26 making his way through shot is Mark Morton, who's had a rather less eventful race than sometimes we've seen so far this season. Voice then continues to lead with only about a third of a lap to go now from Roberts in second place, who's still got David Drinkwater only a couple of car lengths behind him. And just look at the state of the track with all of this debris on it here. Drivers having to pick their way through that. They don't want to perhaps run over something that might damage their tyres and give them a puncture. Tovey there in 4th position. He's not quite been able to make an impression on the top 3 in this race, as I thought he might do at one stage. Tovey, who was on the podium at Brands Hatch, but just the one podium visit for him this season. Drinkwater, I don't think, is quite going to get ahead of Roberts before the end of this race, because already heading up towards the checkered flag goes Stuart Voice then. The flag is out and Voice wins for what is only the second time this season. He won at Donington Park in the first race of the year. He wins the 7th race of the year as well, effectively round 5 of the championship. Stuart Voice takes the win. Roberts is second. In 3rd place is Drinkwater, and Mike Tovey completes the top 4. The rest of the field coming through. 5th place goes to Neil Roach, the driver. 6th in the championship is a problem there for number 31 having a spin. That's Nigel Olive Jones. So other drivers having to take avoiding action, including the James Winstanley car, and almost having another moment there was Nigel as he got back onto the circuit. Adam Reed in the 71 car goes through. Oh, no dear, looks like Nigel has actually picked up some of that debris as well that was left on the circuit after an earlier incident. So a look at the results then, and the win going to Stuart Voice by just over 3 seconds in the end. Steve Roberts was second, David Drinkwater third, Mike Tovey fourth. A couple of exclusions of Bryce Greenwood and Eric Zaleski for eligibility issues, so Josh Harvey and Richard Miles come into the top 12. Okay, Stuart, you must be absolutely delighted to get that win. It was really hard fought, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very hard fought. We got a win at Donington, we did, and it's been a few meetings, but it's a good result. We've had a good battle all the way through, and you have to really push these cars. It's great fun, it is.
You got pole and you qualified, quite a bit ahead in terms of the time, ahead of the rest, but Steve got the best start, didn't he?
Yeah, he got the best start, he did. I just slipped the clutch slightly, a bit too much, and then that was it really. He just got away. Yeah, Steve's a very good driver, and we was having some good battles, and yeah, it was very good. It was thanks to all of Andy for setting the car up, and my dad. It's been hard work between us all and all my sponsors. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, you made the best of the starts, but you just couldn't hold on to the win.
Yeah, so I'm glad I've kept up a good record of good starting, but yeah, I tried to hold on to it, but Stuart's too fast in this first race. We'll try something a bit different for the second one, but I'll just do the same again, try and get out in the front and try and back him up a bit.
Was there anything you could do to try and defend from Stuart? But he seemed to be having, he seemed to be really planning his moves. That was the important thing.
Yeah, well, he's got good traction out into the main straight, so he's getting a good toe off me down there, so it's difficult to defend against that. So he goes on the inside, he goes on the outside. He got to the point where at this first corner I was doing do or die on the brakes just to hold him out. But it got to the point where it was going to take us both off if I stayed on it, so I had to concede the place. But I don't like doing it.
David, third place for you, and for much of that race you had a grandstand view of the battle between Stuart and Steve.
Yeah, I struggled in the first part. I don't know why, I just couldn't keep with them. Got it together towards the end. They were close a few times, and I thought if they take each other out, and maybe I can nick in and get there. But I've got to thank Louis from Maha for everything he's done with the car, A-Reef Performance, and Will and Graham and the boys at TWG. Without them keeping the car on the road, I don't think I'd be here.
And I guess as far as the championship's concerned, it's so close in the points coming into this weekend. I guess it's just frustrating just to be dropping another one or two to them again during the course of that race.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of points between second and third, I think, and a few 3 points. So see where the fastest lap came in, see who got that, maybe rekindle a few points and see what happens in the next race.
Stuart Voice and Steve Roberts on the front row of the grid for this second race. The results of race 1 determine the starting order for this one as the lights go out for a slightly shortened race. 11 minutes plus 1 lap is the distance and a nearly full grid. Good to see Owen Hunter starting at the back. There were some concerns that after the damage he picked up in race 1 he might not get out again. Michael Gray though is a non-starter. So through the first corner, and already there's problems for the number 33 car, which is that of Clive Broxton. He spins around onto the grass, one or two of the drivers having to go off as well and rejoining. Also off from the back is number 84 Scott Lawson, who was our camera car in the earlier race, so he now has got quite a lot of work to do to get back on terms with the field. So we'll go on board with number 24, which is Richard Miles. Now he finished the first race in 12th position once a couple of drivers ahead of him were excluded, so he started on the 6th row of the grid. And who's this that he's alongside? Well, it's Feroz Dava. It looks like just up ahead of him there, with the familiar police livery on that car as they turn now through Agostini and on to the straight that takes them towards Hamilton. So number 24, Richard Miles, is our guide. As you can see, there's smoke or cement dust or something up ahead of us. Oh, and it's Kirby that spins, and he spun at that part of the circuit on the first lap of race 1 as well. Oh, he just has no luck at all, the man from Essex. 2 spins, and that one looks to have cost him a bit more ground than the spin in the first race did as well. As we look at Michael Tovey, and there's an incident going on further behind as well. That's James Nutbrown just ahead of Feroz Dava, and then it looks like Josh Harvey as well. James Gwynn Stanley in the yellow car, I can see, as the leaders more or less side by side then under the bridge as they head down to Brundle. Who's going to turn in first? And this time it's Stuart Voice that leads then. Right from the off in the first race, he set a new lap record, 2:22.07, almost 2 seconds faster than he managed here last year. He's got a good start here to get ahead of Roberts. Tovey there in third, Drinkwater fourth, and that incident for Kirby seems to have split the pack up a little bit because it's a big gap back then to the 5th position car, which is Stratton Mackay. So the first 4 turning their way through Murray's for the first time then. Probably only going to get 6 laps out of this because it is such a long circuit, this 300 circuit. As I say, a lap taking well over 2 minutes in these cars, although they're still averaging over 75 miles per hour. Voice already with a few car lengths in hand over Roberts then, and he gives a bit of a tow to the 2 cars behind him. Then it's Mackay, then it's Simon Roach there in 6th position. Roach, who finished 6th in race 1 as well, just behind his brother. There's Darver, and round the outside of him goes Neil Roach, who had his podium debut towards the end of last season. There you can see the red and yellow striped flag being displayed at Marshall's post number 4. That's to warn the drivers of a slippery surface up ahead. Does that have any bearing on what happens to Richard Miles at Montreal, we wonder? Well, he gets out a little bit wide there over the grass. He gets crossed up as he rejoins the circuit, and that loss of momentum means that he loses quite a few places, unfortunately. That is the problem when you end up running out wide, and I don't think it was particularly Richard Miles' fault there. You can lose a handful of places in one go, especially in a championship as competitive as this Safety Devices Gas-Shocks Compact Cup. Leaders already to Hamilton then, and it is 4 for the lead. Mackay on his own in 5th, Simon Roach in 6th, and it looks to be 7th place being James Nutbrown at the moment. As for Oz Darver, James Winstanley in the practical performance car entered the machine, and then Alex Dew, who only finished 7th in race number 1, so his podium finishing record for 2014 came to an end. Looks like it's not going to resume anytime soon because he's got a lot of places to make up to get onto the podium this time. Brands Hatch went well off at Alex Dew, but then it usually is a happier hunting ground for him than some of the other circuits. Most drivers do find that they have some circuits that they go well at, and others they perform less well at as well. So through Nelson, the right-handed part of the S's, and down towards the bomb hole. Voice continues to get away. We've had a change for 2nd as well, of course, with Tovey now up into 2nd position ahead of Roberts. You can be sure that Roberts will try and fight back. 5th place man Mackay, I think, has Roach bearing down on him now, and the 2 teammates, Nutbrown and Harvey. Oh, and someone's had a moment. It looks like that's the 70 car of Ollie Clark, the driver from Brentwood. Soon gets it pointing back in the right direction. You can see the novice cross on the back of his car. Look how many places that's cost him, though. It's a grid of more than 40 cars, so you can quite easily lose 10 or 15 places. So the 88 car is Nutbrown, the former Intersteps and Clio Cup racer, stepping down, if you like, to the Compact Cup, but finding it very competitive indeed. It's certainly not something he's just been able to step into and all of a sudden be competitive. Was a bit of a touch there between Simon Roach and Stratton Mackay. Mackay there ends up running out wide, as we saw Richard Miles do on the previous lap, but I don't think it's cost Mackay in the same way that it did Miles on the previous lap. This is Miles once more, on board with him as he turns his way through the left-hander. I think that might be Declan McDonald up ahead, possibly, just looking at the colours on that car. Someone has gone wide, bouncing over the grass on the by the side of Tyrrell's restaurant there. I'll try and pick up who that is in a moment. Yes, that's James Winstanley, isn't it, that has had a moment and loses positions as a result. I think it is McDonald that's now just ahead of him. Well, as you can see, is the next car in this group, the dark coloured car. He also is a driver with relatively little experience, as you can see from the cross on the back. Well, Stanley was trying to get a place back from McDonald. Well, Roberts, far from attacking Mike Tovey to get 2nd position back, is really having to defend here from David Drinkwater, who was on the podium in race 1, of course, that being his 4th podium of the season. Stuart Voice heading here for what could well be his 3rd win. He'll be the first driver to get 3 wins during the course of the season. As we say, it really has been a 4-horse race coming into this weekend, with Roberts, who's been gone wide onto the grass there. That'll give Drinkwater a chance. Roberts, Drinkwater, Voice and Alex Dew being the 4 drivers in contention, but he senses that Dew's just going to slip out of it a little bit after what by his standards is a disappointing weekend. Driving standards flag out again for somebody. Now that probably is for drivers that are being a bit over-exuberant in their use of the circuit, or rather the bit to the other side of the white line or the curb, which isn't allowed. All four wheels must remain either on the black stuff within the white line or on the curbs, certainly not onto the grass, as Drinkwater locks up a little bit there as he tries to get past Steve Roberts on the outside line for the right-hander at Montreal. So towards the left-hander at Palmer they go. Roberts, an ex-Formula Ford champion, of course. Drinkwater, having done some racing in Stock Hatch initially 10 years or so ago now. Let's have a look a bit further back down the order. Mark Morton has gone through. There's James Cook, who hasn't got that bumper flapping and rubbing against a tyre this time. Mark Morton going through as well in the 26 car within that group that's further down the order, outside the top 20 in actual fact, but that's still a fairly respectable midfield position in the context of this race. And now Roberts here, you can see, has dropped out of the podium positions because Drinkwater has made his way through. Well, this would be the first non-appearance on a podium for Steve Roberts this season if it was to finish this way. Still a little bit of time left in the race for him to come back. Through Brundle and Nelson goes Richard Miles. He's caught up with James Winstanley here. Declan McDonald's just ahead for Ros Darver though. He's in the midst of this battle in car number 14. Through Coram they go. There's another two cars not too far ahead, so it's very close indeed as they now head into the braking area for Murray's, and they're side by side. McDonnell and Winstanley there, and it looks like McDonnell is the man that's going to lose out. Winstanley is going to get alongside for Ros Darver here, and as they go up across the line they're almost going to be dead heating as they cross the timing line that time. McDonnell does carry some more speed through, so back ahead of Richard Miles he goes, and he tries to go to the left hand side of Ros Darver. That leaves a gap on the inside which Richard Miles likes the look of, but he can't make very good use of. Neil Roach in the number 81 car is losing a position here to James Nutt Brown. There's contact, they go sideways, and off onto the grass goes James Nutt Brown. And now Josh Harvey has a run at the number 81 car. Neil Roach, the driver from Worcestershire. Harvey, the ex-Formula Ford racer, his first season as well in the Compact Cup. He's there in that number 6 car. A driver from Trowbridge, so very near to Castle Combe, which is the venue for the next round of the championship. Meanwhile, it's all been a bit frenetic further back, but Stuart Voice has been well in control ever since lap 1 of this race. He's pulled out a gap over Mike Tovey there in second position. And it does look as if Steve Roberts in 4th place is going to miss out on the podium for the first time in not just this season, but a very long time in the Safety Devices Gas Shocks Compact Cup. Looks like second is going to go the way of Mike Tovey, although he's exceeded the track limits a little bit there. Checkered flag goes out though, and it's a double win for Stuart Voice. He even improves on his lap record from the earlier race as well. Second to Tovey, third to Drinkwater, and 4th place to Steve Roberts. And Richard Miles at Murray's is off and into the barrier right at the end of the race, and just look at that frustration. Well, here are the results then. Stuart Voice it was that took the win by more than 5 seconds from Mike Tovey, David Drinkwater, Steve Roberts and Simon Roach. Further back, Neil Roach was 7th, Josh Harvey, his best finish of the year, in 8th. James Winstanley completed the top 10. Okay, Stuart, you've done the double at Snetterton. That must be a great feeling.
Oh, superb feeling. Yeah, just it's brilliant to do one, it is, and it's very good. A lot of hard work goes into it. I could see the chaps behind me getting quicker, but I thought, right, let's knuckle down, and yeah, we was pushing really good, it was, and thanks to Andy, AW Track Sport, and my dad for doing everything, and myself, and yeah, it was very good, it was.
If anything, it didn't look quite as tough and quite as intense as the first race. You just made that break a little bit earlier.
Yeah, made the break a little bit more earlier. I got a good start this time, but Steve had another good start, he did, and got me through the first corner, but I thought, right, that's it, I've got to nip you in the bud quite quick, and then I did, and carried on grabbing the ball by its horns, as you say.
Excellent. On the podium again, you must be glad to be back here.
Yeah, over the moon. I mean, after qualifying this morning, some technical issues with the car which we got through. I'm delighted to get a podium out of the weekend. It's just what we needed.
Yeah, tough race, and you had to do a little bit of passing to get up there.
Yeah, me and Drinkwater had a couple of corners side by side, but we were both racing very fair, give each other enough room. I just want to thank Raw Motorsport for providing me with such a brilliant car. Momo helped me with all my race gear, and all the other friends and family and my girlfriend in that area as well. It was brilliant.
Okay. Excellent. David Drinkwater, third position. It was a real tough race.
It was another third position, which is a bit of a shame. Couldn't quite get Mike at the end. Bit of a shame, but yeah, it was a tough race. But thanks to all my sponsors, TWG and Maha, been superb for helping me out this year.
As far as the championship goes, at least it's getting a bit mixed up. You finished ahead of Steve that time.
Yeah, we had quite a tough start. I think he got a bit out of shape through Palmer, so I managed to nip inside him at Agostini. But yeah, it's keeps the championship alive. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's all from Snetterton. The next round of the championship is at Castle Combe in 3 weeks' time. Join us then. Bye-bye.